I have different fingerprint than everyone in the entire world. So there's many, many differences in me compared to anybody else. So how am I going to apply that to serve people?
Today, we're featuring a special conversation that previously aired on our sister podcast, The Unbridled Creative, because its themes align beautifully with what we explore here on Be Locally Loved. We hope you enjoy it. This episode is sponsored by Be Local, the nation's leader in welcoming newcomers and connecting them to the best places to go, the best things to do, and the best businesses to use in our community. If you want to reach new families moving into your backyard, visit reachnewcomers.com.
Do you know that most people are frustrated with marketing for one simple reason? They expect it to do a job it was never designed to do. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about what is marketing supposed to do and what it's not. And it's going to be a short subject, something focused on this topic. And we're going to continue with other topics in this vein. But I thought it was important because I've dealt with many conversations recently of assumptions of what marketing really is. And it's just people not knowing.
So, Trent, this is such an exciting topic to dig into because the biggest frustration that I see in the business community is, a business owner saying, well, I've been doing this and I've been doing that, but I didn't get anything out of it. And a lot of it is that they just don't understand what they're supposed to, quote unquote, get out of it.
Yeah. And marketing in itself doesn't make people buy. I think where a business owner is thinking is the ROI discussion. And we'll talk about that in another topic in depth, but they misinterpret ROI. That's supposed to be return on impact, not on investment, because return on investment is actually a term that was created for being in business. You've got a client, you have a product, and then you want to make sure your return on the investment in that client is a good investment. Here's your expenses. This is my profit and my loss. Here's my expenses. Here's my revenue. And return on investment is what's left over, right? Marketing doesn't work that way. You spend $1, it doesn't mean that dollar is going to come back from that exact source you spent it at, because there's so many variables at play. And we've said it before actually on another show that, or maybe I sent a post or something. Sometimes I don't remember. But marketing is a faith walk. You have to have faith that marketing efforts, just as long as they're clear, are going to result in business growth. Not a one-on-one scenario, but you take a percentage of your revenue or your profit, however you've got that figured out on your business, and then you put it towards marketing. And most people are very shocked how much percentage that you're really tithing, so to speak, towards marketing.
Well, and marketing lives at the top of the funnel. I think that's a big thing that people don't understand because they say, especially I think also they confuse marketing, advertising, and branding.
Yes.
All of those are different things, but it all falls under this umbrella of marketing. So when they say marketing, they might be talking about lead gen. They might be talking about branding. They might be talking about advertising. Like there's so many things. They might be talking about PR. Marketing tends to be that catch-all word, but the point is marketing lives at the top of the funnel. And there is not a direct link between a marketing interaction and a transaction because we have things called humanness. Like there's time, there's the human journey, there's multiple points of touch. Like there's all this stuff that happens from the top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel, but the business owner is wanting that kind of instant connection between their marketing and a transaction that they can track. And it's just not how it works. It's too complex for that simple expectation.
And the one thing I've advised quite often is don't listen to your CFO, your controller, which is like a CFO, or your accountant on advertising advice, marketing advice, right?
Right.
On what to spend on marketing. Don't ask it. That's why
they don't know.
They have no clue because they're looking at the books for ROI. You've got a client. They don't understand what happens before you obtain a client. So, marketing isn't about necessarily, I should say, getting more leads isn't the goal for marketing. It's giving you more people. More leads just gives you more people who aren't ready yet. And the goal of marketing isn't volume, it's visibility plus readiness. It's creating the awareness, number one, and then also being amplified, being creative in many ways where your voice or your company, the things you believe in, your vision is being amplified in some way. And that's always better that someone else amplifies it rather than yourself. If you're yourself amplifying it yourself, that's called bragging. And that happens on social media. It's like, come see me, because on social media, you're talking to your own audience. You're not talking outside of your audience per se. You're talking to your own audience. And those are often clients or people who already believe in you. So if you're trying to create awareness outside of your own box that you live in, then that requires marketing efforts. That requires advertising. It requires lead generation. It requires all kinds of things. So number one thing is to create awareness, become amplified. Referrals are the best thing in regard to that. But how do you end up there is another question. And then third is accessibility, making sure you're easily accessible. If you're not easily accessible, no one's going to order from you or be able to find you. That's why websites are essential these days, and doing a good job on the website and being able to convert those leads in a way that really it comes back to think about yourself when you go to look for something or you became aware of a company. When you go on Google, for example, and you've got 25 to 50 different choices, why have you chosen that one company? It's probably because you heard the name over and over and over again. Why do you think Coca-Cola and Pepsi and all the others advertise in such a big way and spend $1 billion a year advertising when how much do you pay for each can? If they were worried about transactional approach, they wouldn't be spending all that money. They'd be, here's a coupon. And then when you add the coupon, and then I can track that where the coupon came from when you made that purchase. Well, the smaller the purchase, you're not tracking like that.
Mm. That's that's a great example of the power of branding. Like,
Yes.
why does Coca-Cola put a commercial in the Super Bowl for $1 billion for a 30-second spot? Like, whatever it is. I'm making it up. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's because they know the power of the brand being seen and associated in such a big way as like a part of the way that we live our life here in America, right? The branding. And you can't tie that to a coupon or a QR code as much as a business owner is going to be like, but you know what? It rolls down. Marketing's at the top of the funnel. It's going to roll down. I bet what happens after that Super Bowl commercial is maybe all the mom and pop grocery stores around the country see an uptick in Coca-Cola sales
Yeah.
because they saw him in the Super Bowl commercial, right? Just as an example.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. You know, I think today I wanted to really just reset expectations. We mentioned on another episode how many local businesses and how many entrepreneurs start each year. I think in 2023 there was 5.5 million new solopreneurs between the employee count of 1 to 4. Okay, that's 5.5 million, and a majority of those don't last very long, and that's why there's 5 million each year that are new, and that the total number doesn't continue to grow by 5 million. It's because a lot of people fail in many ways in their business. Number one way they fail, I believe, is, and well, it's true, is that people can't recognize them for who they are or what they do. So it's very important to know, number one, what marketing can actually do. And then number two, why chasing more leads often creates more problems, not more sales, right? Just chasing leads in general. There's a creative strategy behind that. That's why we created our company Locally Capture, to capture the right people at the right moment with the right method. Because if you're, and it's a bottom of the funnel piece. So reputation is very important. And that is number one, right? How do you build a reputation? You have to be clear of who you are. You have to be clear of your message. That's where ChatGPT and other AI comes in to help you be more clear on what that message is based upon who you are. We've got another episode that help people with that. And so once those are clear, everything else about marketing starts and makes sense. So you have to be clear about yourself, right? That's why we do the Unbridled Creative, is figuring out yourself, figuring out what am I good at? Why am I different than others? I've lived in a different environment. I'm a different person than everyone in the world. I have different fingerprint than everyone in the entire world. So there's many, many differences in me compared to anybody else. So how am I going to apply that to serve people, to serve other people who are my clients, and my mindset being a servant mindset towards what the needs, solving the problem of somebody else's. And if I can do that well in my unique self, then I've got something to start a business on. That's the easy part in some ways. Some ways it's hard to get to that point. But then when you start digging in to help businesses or help individuals, well, you could be working with businesses too, then the challenges come in. That's why you have to be clear about who you are so that you can properly convey who you are to people. And then your audience, the people who are interested in what you have to say, will acknowledge you and look at you as a credible source in that lane.
I wonder if people have heard of this study that Google did years ago called the zero moment of truth. Like what you're talking about, building your brand, building your reputation, understanding your uniqueness, the nuances of what makes you special. If you can effectively market that at the zero moment of truth, when someone's making that decision to buy, they're going to choose you because they know, like, and trust you. We've talked in the past about the importance of being known, liked, and trusted. But because we're in a trust recession, it's really now more you have to do things that signal I'm a trustworthy brand. You can trust me so that someone will even take the time to, get to know you and eventually like you, right?
Mhm.
I've said to some of my clients, like, okay, let's say you're loyal to Crest toothpaste. And if Crest toothpaste sends you a coupon, you're probably going to use it because you've already decided you like that brand. So Crest can increase their sales with a little bit of what I'd call direct response promotion, bottom of the funnel kind of stuff, right? But if I'm not a Crest user and you send me a Crest coupon, I don't care what percent, it could be 100% off for all I care. I'm not using it because I am not either I don't know the Crest brand, I don't like the trust Crest brand, I don't trust the Crest brand. I have used it and decided it's not for me. I am not going to react to a direct response kind of promotion in that particular instance. So I think one thing it's important for our listeners to understand is that difference between being seen as a trusted local resource versus a solicitor. So if you're sending the
Yes.
coupon to the Crest people and you know you've got your Crest people, then you're going to just be seen as a trusted brand that's maybe trying to, I don't know, offer a discount for Christmas or something. But if you're sending coupons to people that aren't your people, you're seen as a solicitor, and that actually hurts your brand.
Yeah, that's why it's important when I mentioned earlier about, when it comes to lead generation, if there's a focus on, every company wants a list of leads to call upon and or to reach out to or retarget or something like that. But the challenge is there's so many who call on lists. They buy lists of leads and they call on them and they're soliciting their services. The challenge is it's different. It's different if that person was actually interested in that subject. A cold bound way of reaching out to people is not the way that people want to receive that. Like you're saying, they're being solicited too. That's why there's signs, no soliciting. What that means, no soliciting, is don't try to sell me something I may not want in that moment. Now, if you're responding to their request, however that request is in their behavior and their interest in that subject, in that thing that you have that you could provide to them, what's the next approach? Is the next approach to solicit them and try to sell them? No, the next approach is to guide them. It's to point them in the right direction, help them in their decision making process. And that's why we created the Trust Bridge principles and a roadmap for businesses. We do this in a unique way for our clients that utilizes AI as well for efficiency, but it also gets to know that person and in such a way, in a deep manner, that when things are created to guide someone, they're created uniquely the way they are wired, right? And then when they're marketing to somebody else, they're marketing in a way that they're guiding them to build trust. I've always said that, the no like trust that nowadays with AI, because of lack of trust in the marketplace and trying to deliver messages that people don't believe in anymore because it may not be a real person or a real message or real picture or video or anything, is they have to trust you first. And they may like what you have to offer and like how you've helped them. And then they know that you'll do a good job for them. No like trust is flipped on its head.
Yep.
So it takes time.
A great metaphor for this would be like if you were single and you were at a coffee shop and you saw someone across the room that gave you that eye and you gave that eye back and you're like, I'd like to have coffee with that person. Like that little spark is like brand awareness.
There you
You're
go.
not going
Yeah.
to go straight from brand awareness to walking down the aisle and making a lifelong commitment. And I think a lot of times in our marketing, we think, oh, well, they noticed me. Let's have a transaction. Like, it's just not like that. You have to have a cup of coffee, make sure you like each other. If you like coffee, then maybe let's
Yeah.
have dinner. If we like dinner, maybe let's see a show. If you see a show, maybe you can meet my brother or my parents. Like, there's a process to
Yes.
building a relationship and it takes time and it takes nurturing and I think that's what the trust bridge is. Like we're guiding them through the buyer's journey for their marketing to help them understand. They're not going to see you in the coffee shop, raise their eye and say, "Ooh, I kind of like what I see," and go straight to marrying you. That's
Yeah.
just
Get
not
on.
how relationships are
Who's
built.
this? Who's this guy that just got on his knee in front of me that I just winked at, and he's asking me to
Yeah,
marry him?
you would never do that in real life. So the
No.
question is, why do business owners think that they can place an ad in a magazine or a billboard or in a direct mail postcard or in a Facebook ad? Why do they think that that first impression, that first eye wink is going to go straight to the end zone
I
without
think
trust?
I think and you pose that as a question, why do you think that is? And I think the reason is, number 1 is and everyone listening to this show that's a business owner, you've thought that way. We've all thought that way at one time or another, okay? Laura and I just happen to be in the marketing realm, and we're familiar with that for a long, long time, decades. It used to be easier back in the day when you only had a couple platforms. You would advertise in the yellow pages because that was the only place that people could find you.
That's right.
So the only way that you had control over someone finding you over somebody else is to buy a bigger ad. Well, it cost a lot of money. So I think the reason nowadays is a lack of education of how marketing works because frankly and I'm advocating for every business owner and solopreneur and local business or big business that is listening. I'm advocating for you right now that how in the world would you have time to educate yourself on marketing when you're trying to be the best person you are in your lane? If you're a carpenter, you're a plumber, or you own a spa, that's where your focus is on doing that well for your clients. Going to school for marketing and learning all of the things that keep changing. And you think that the main emphasis is if I've just got a long list of leads to call and word of mouth is my only thing, that's all I need. The problem with just word of mouth referrals is you don't have control of who's coming to you.
You cannot build a sales pipeline on word of
No,
mouth referrals. You cannot control that.
don't think. And I'm going to be honest with you as speaking to a business owner, one business owner to another, if you rely on word of mouth referrals alone, two things are going to happen. You're never going to grow to the point that you want. You'll never know who your future client's going to be. And you'll also be referred by the people that maybe you didn't like working with. And they have a network of people that you may not like either. And all of a sudden, you have word of mouth referrals of people that you really don't want to work with
Yeah,
because they're all complainers.
if you even get them. I mean, the
Yeah,
big thing that's crazy to me is, like, giving your power to your clients. Like,
right.
I don't need to be proactive in my marketing and my advertising and my promotion and my branding because I get all my business from my current clients. Like, what?
Yeah.
You're completely abdicating your
Yes.
power and your control as your business as a business owner and saying, I'm just going to sit back and wait for my clients to go to work for me. Like, that's insane. And then they'll come and they'll say, well, my sales are really down. I can't do anything. Well, your sales are really down because your only marketing strategy is word of mouth. And that's not a marketing strategy. That's a benefit of being a strong brand, not a marketing strategy.
Yeah. And I know we're being hard on you right now when you hear this from us, but we've got to shake you out of the mindset of thinking that is a really, really good thing. If you've got more than 75% of word of mouth referrals that your business is coming from, you're and you want to grow beyond just yourself serving a few, and you're going to have to do something different, and you're going to
You're
have to
vulnerable.
advertise. You're
You're
very
vulnerable.
vulnerable.
You're
You're very
vulnerable. Yep.
vulnerable in many different ways. We could dig into that, but I don't think we need to. I think you get the point. But what we're going to do is we're going to share with you um, uh, some some short pieces like this. There's 5 different things we both thought was essential to cover when it comes to understanding marketing and understanding the complexity of these things, but also the simplicity that applies. Number one, what marketing can and cannot do. That's what we were covering today. And I wanted to cover some things, not on this show, because we need to dig in some things. Another one is why more leads is the wrong first goal, right? And then the real timeline of marketing and why people quit too early. That's a big, big topic. I mean, almost wanted to cover that today because we do quit too early as a business owner. We'll dig into that on another show, but I will say that most businesses don't spend long enough on a single channel, on a single target, because they don't receive the response, the ROI, they call it, which we already talked about that, and they don't get the ROI they think. The problem is it's you're thinking the wrong way.
Mhm.
You have to focus on your time. I got a friend of mine who owns an HVAC company, and he thinks about his marketing only in 1 month a year. He will not talk to anyone throughout the year. He spends his money, he aligns his money in his target market, and he leaves it alone. And then the next year, he reassesses and he looks at his overall revenue. Did it go up or did it go down? If it went down, maybe he's got to change some things. Maybe not. Let's wait another year. Let's do the same thing, maybe, or maybe let's add a few things, but don't change what may be working. And then there's a lot of things you have to do to verify what is working on a long term basis, right? And then what to measure before ROI, return on impact, shows up using
Mhm.
ROI in the right abbreviation. Marketing is a system, not a one time campaign. So all these kind of align with each other, but they're separate subjects we can dig into a little bit to help you.
Let's do a series. Let's just do a series. Today, this will be the kickoff of the series, and let's do these next, because I really would like to dive deep and unpack each one of those separately.
Yeah. And they have to be short because as business owners, we don't have a lot of time, and so we want to keep these to no more than a half an hour, 20 minutes to a half an hour. So we're gonna stop this one now, but I think it's so important to think about marketing in the right way. Number one, you're creating awareness. Number two, you're finding ways to be amplified in ways that you cannot do yourself. Being amplified, you can't do it yourself. That's bragging. And number three is accessibility. Can people access you easily? Do they understand what they're going to get? Are you clear about your messaging? So, those 3 important things: creating awareness with the right messaging, being amplified, and then allowing people to be able to access you and reach you easily. 3 most important things ever.
All right. Well, thank you, Trent. We'll set up this series and look forward to diving into these topics.
And
All
what's
right,
our last?
everybody. I would say don't forget, be bold, break free.
And live unbridled.
Okay, bye. Be
See ya.
blessed. Thank you for joining us for Be Locally Loved. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who cares about building thriving communities as much as we do. Until next time, love where you live.